Hi, my name is Jen Vivient. I'm a level 2 QHHT practitioner, and I'm here to talk again about ETs. There's been a couple in recent weeks. So this is a client who came to me a few weeks ago, and her experience was in her hypnosis session. She was an ET. I'm going to explain a little bit, then I'll read a little bit more in depth because there's quite a lot of detail to the story. When she came in, she was really confused because she didn't understand how her body didn't have a form. And what it came clear, what she meant by that was it felt blobby, felt like really big. It felt like a mass. For a while there, I thought that she was experiencing her body as just a circle. It became clear that it was just not as, I guess the human body is a little bit more angular, and her body that she was engulfed in was a little bit more of a rotund and a little more cylindrical, not so formed. So, and this client had a very interesting experience where she felt very connected to a certain human. Even though it wasn't her job to only be connected to one human, she found herself very particularly connected. And that was what this kind of emerged as part of the main story, the main thread for her in her vision, in her life. So here she is, a big, gray, genderless entity who can stay invisible to humans and observes and reports back to a ship where there's many others like her. She perceives herself to be younger than most of the others, so she's in a way somewhat of a rookie on the ship. And watching the others to find out what she's supposed to do, and she's not really sure if she's breaking the rules sometimes or not, so she's really aware of what other entities are doing. So she popped in as she was watching, observing on her ship. She then just popped in to the Earth, and she was observing a little girl with blonde hair and a yellow dress, who appeared to be playing in the courtyard, maybe in a castle or some really large mansion. It appeared to be a few hundred years ago, and the way that she described each of the rooms sounded very much more like a castle with huge chambers and stone walls as opposed to a mansion. So there was a lot of grass around. She was watching the little girl and saw the little girl watching her. So she was very curious about that because she wasn't supposed to be seen. And as she was noticing that, she would feel like she was doing something wrong, but she wasn't sure. So she's still getting used to this experience as a rookie, and she goes back to her ship and wasn't even really sure if she should explain the situation. And she's supposed to report on what she's seen, but she doesn't know if this is something she's supposed to report. So she keeps it to herself at first. So the client, as the entity, develops this enormous affinity for this girl. It's a really becomes a developed relationship of observing her. So while she's on the ship one day, she's confused about her task. She's supposed to report the feelings that the child or the humans have, but doesn't know what feelings are, doesn't understand what feelings, how to even describe them. So she doesn't understand how this task works when she doesn't even understand what feelings are to convey them to somebody else in the first place. And it turns out that's kind of what this is sort of her lesson, her life lesson, is to learn feelings, to learn how they work. So she's a little bewildered, and she gets really bored by this part of the job where she has to convey these. So she really kind of spends extra time going back to watch this little girl and put all of her time into that and being there, more so than what other entities might be doing. So she feels like there's something else she could be doing that might be more satisfying or productive. Finally, she gets the resolve to ask. She tells the supervisors about her connection to the little girl, and about the girl sensing her energy and looking straight at her. They go and talk for a while, leaving her aside, and she has to wait for them for quite a while to come to a conclusion. And when they come back to her, they say, you can go back and watch the little girl, and you're going to become her guide. So they kind of allowed that. They allowed that organic process of them becoming connected to give her a new purpose. So she became the little girl's guide throughout the rest of her life. Sadly, the girl dies in a car accident at a very young age, and it is apparently what was meant to be, even though this really bothers the client, the entity. She did have a short contract on Earth, and the client goes back. The client is now all finished with the task that was aboard the ship, going back and forth between the ship and the Earth. So then the client isn't taken any place by force, but she just sort of gravitates to another location, which is she somewhat describes it as home or source, or maybe her home planet, and it's an orangey yellow place. So this is the end of her story with this person, with this human. The lesson she learned there was that we're connected energetically. When you feel the pull, it's real. You don't have to second guess it. And the secondary lesson she learned was that you can't interfere with other people's lives. So, energy and feelings are real. Feelings are a frequency. And the message that she got for everyone was the higher vibrational state, energy, frequency, meditation are real. Believe, take a leap of faith. So take a leap of faith, my friends. Be well.